Welcome to Florida Fastpitch, your top source for Florida Fastpitch news and information. Today, we're diving deep into something really significant for Florida high school athletes and definitely for their families, the new name, image, and likeness rules, NIL.
That's right. It's a major shift, not just some minor tweak.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the learner tuning in, someone who wants the key info without getting lost in the weeds.
This is for you. We're going to break down what NIL really means for student athletes here in Florida. The opportunity, sure, but also, maybe more importantly, the things you need to watch out for.
Kind of like a roadmap, right?
Exactly. A roadmap for this new territory.
Okay, so let's start basic. NIL. We hear it all the time with college sports now. But for Florida high schools, what is it, really?
Well, at its core, NIL is about recognizing that an athlete's personal brand, their name, their face, their reputation, even their social media presence, it has value. And these rules, they basically allow student athletes to earn money based on that value. Think like their name on a flyer for a local camp.
Or their picture in an ad for a local pizza place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or maybe they have a big following online. Businesses might want to associate with that.
So crucially, this isn't pay for play, right? It's not about getting paid for scoring runs or striking batters out.
No, absolutely not. That's a key distinction. It's about leveraging the recognition and brand they build because they're an athlete. It's about those off-field commercial opportunities.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's say you're a talented fast pitch player here in Florida. What kind of deals are actually possible now?
Oh, there's a range. Sponsorships and endorsements are probably the most obvious ones. A local sporting goods store might sponsor a star pitcher. Or maybe a bigger sports brand wants to work with a player known for hitting.
Right.
Then there's social media. If an athlete has, like, a decent online following, they could get paid for promoting products or services.
Like Instagram posts or TikToks.
Yeah, exactly. And beyond that, think about paid appearances. Maybe signing autographs at an event or speaking somewhere. And they can even create and sell their own merchandise now. Branded t-shirts, signed softballs, that kind of thing.
Wow, okay. So a lot of possibilities. Now, the big questions for families, who can actually get these deals and who is managing all this?
All right, so eligibility-wise, basically any athlete who meets the FHSAA's regular eligibility requirements can participate in NIL.
So if you're eligible to play, you're eligible for NIL.
Generally, yes. But here's the really critical part for parents and guardians, the deals. They have to be handled entirely independently by the athlete and their family.
Independently, meaning the school, the coaches, they're out.
Completely out. Schools, coaches, teachers, athletic directors, that they cannot be involved at all. No setting up deals, no promoting them, no negotiating, nothing.
And the FHSAA isn't like approving these deals either.
Yeah, nope. The FHSAA doesn't broker deals, doesn't approve them. It's all on the athlete and their family.
So parents listening, you've basically just become your kid's agent or manager in a way.
That's a really good way to put it, actually. Yeah. Parents are now responsible for looking over contracts.
Making sure they're fair, making sure they follow the rules.
Exactly. And ensuring FHSAA compliance is huge. You might need to find advisors, maybe even an NIL-specific agent. Plus, there's the whole financial side, tracking payments, understanding taxes, because yes, it's taxable income, handling all that reporting. It's a big new role.
Can families get help, though? Can they hire, say, an agent or a lawyer?
Yes, they can. The FHSAA rules allow athletes to hire registered agents or lawyers specifically for NIL help.
Okay, specifically for NIL. So that agent can help negotiate an endorsement.
Right. They can advise on contracts, help find opportunities.
But they absolutely cannot then start talking to colleges about scholarships for that athlete.
Precisely. That's the hard line. Their role is strictly NIL. No college recruitment, no scholarship negotiations.
Yeah.
And it's important that any agent they use is properly registered and follows the rules. Otherwise, it could mess up the athlete's amateur status and college eligibility down the road.
Okay, that's vital. Now, let's talk about the guardrails. What kinds of partnerships are completely off limits? The absolute no-goes.
This is super important for everyone to understand. The FHSAA has a very clear list of prohibited categories, things that high school athletes just cannot associate with for NIL deals.
All right, let's hear them.
Okay, so alcohol, tobacco, vaping products, nicotine, anything like that.
Makes sense.
Also cannabis, any controlled substances, adult entertainment is out. Gambling, sports betting, fantasy sports, online casinos, all prohibited.
Okay.
You also can't do deals involving prescription medications or promoting pharmaceuticals. and no deals related to firearms, ammunition, or weapon businesses.
That is a very clear list. It really shows they're trying to keep this focus and protect the students.
Absolutely. And the penalties for violating these, even if you didn't mean to, they can be really severe.
So reading the fine print is crucial.
Absolutely. And if you're ever unsure about a potential partner or a clause in a contract, getting legal advice before signing anything is definitely the way to go.
Another big restriction I saw was about using the school's identity. Athletes can't use their school's name or logo in these deals.
Correct. No school names, no logos, no uniforms. Not even the school facilities can be used in an NIL activity.
So you couldn't, like, wear your high school jersey in a commercial for that pizza place we mentioned.
Nope. Or film an ad on the school's softball field. Or even name a product after your school, like Bulldog Power Drink or something.
Right. What's the thinking behind that rule?
The FHSAA wants to prevent schools, especially public schools, from essentially becoming marketing platforms. They don't want schools profiting indirectly from endorsements, and they want to keep a clear line between education and commercial activity.
But athletes can still say who they are, right? Like, I'm Jane Doe, pitcher for XYZ High School.
Oh, yeah. They can definitely mention their name, their position, the sport they play, their achievements. That's all fine. It's just the visual representation, the logos, the uniforms, the specific school name used in branding that's not allowed in the actual NIL promotion itself.
Got it. Okay, let's shift to transfers and recruiting. This seems like a potential minefield. How does NIL affect kids moving between schools?
Yeah, the FHSAA was very concerned about this, understandably. The rule is crystal clear. NIL cannot be used as a recruiting inducement, period.
Meaning a coach can't hint at potential NIL deals to lure a player over?
Absolutely not. Schools can't promise NIL opportunities, and boosters or other private individuals can't offer NIL money to get a kid to transfer.
So what happens if an athlete transfers mid-season and then suddenly lands a bunch of NIL deals at the new school?
That's going to raise red flags.
Okay.
The FHSAA requires what they call a good cause exemption for any in-season transfer who then engages in NIL. Basically, you have to prove the transfer wasn't about NIL money.
They're trying to stop high schools from becoming like mini versions of college programs with bidding wars for players.
Exactly. They want to avoid that scenario entirely. If the FHSAA suspects a transfer was NIL motivated, they can investigate, and it could lead to suspension or even ineligibility for the athlete. The transfer needs to be for legitimate reasons, academic, family relocation, things like that, totally separate from NIL potential.
Okay, that's a really important protection. So we've talked about what you can do and what you can't. What if someone breaks these rules? What are the actual consequences?
The FHSAA has laid out a pretty straightforward disciplinary structure. It's progressive.
Okay.
For a first offense, it's typically a formal warning. The deal has to be canceled, any ads have to come down, and sometimes any money earned has to be returned.
All right, a warning shot.
Right. But a second offense, that jumps up significantly. It's a 1-year suspension from all high school sports. Not just the one you play, but everything.
1 year. Wow. And a third time.
Third offense means permanent ineligibility for the rest of your high school career. Done.
That's incredibly serious. And I heard there's no appeal process for those second and third offenses.
That's my understanding, yes. The FHSAA is signaling that these rules are firm and repeat violations won't be tolerated. It really emphasizes why families need to get this right from the start.
Absolutely. Okay, let's touch on a couple more practical things. Taxes. You mentioned it earlier. This NIL money is taxable.
Yes, 100%.
Right.
Even if it's relatively small amounts, even for a minor, NIL income is taxable income.
So parents, you need to be ready for this.
Definitely. You've got to track every payment, keep records of any related expenses, maybe even set up a separate bank account for the NIL money. And you'll be responsible for filing the necessary tax documents.
Probably a good idea to talk to a tax professional.
Highly recommended, especially the first time you navigate this. You want to make sure everything is done correctly.
Good advice. And the last big piece, college eligibility. Just because Florida allows high school NIL, does that mean the NCAA or other college associations are totally fine with it?
That is a huge point, and the answer is not necessarily. It's really important for families thinking about college sports to understand this.
So the NCAA, NAIA, and JCAA, they might have different rules.
Exactly. Each college governing body has its own set of rules about NIL, about amateurism, about what they might consider pay for play. What's allowed under FHSAA rules might not align perfectly with, say, NCAA rules.
So a deal that's perfectly fine for your high school eligibility in Florida could potentially cause problems when you try to play in college.
It's possible, yes. That's why families need to be proactive. Research the specific NIL rules for the colleges and the associations your student athlete might be interested in. And do it early. Don't wait until senior year. You need to ensure the high school NIL activities won't jeopardize future college opportunities.
Okay, so a lot to consider there. As we wrap up this deep dive, what are the main things you really want listeners, especially our learners, to take away about high school NIL in Florida?
I think the big picture is this. NIL is a genuine opportunity. It can be beneficial for young athletes here, but,
Yeah.
and it's a big but, it comes with serious responsibilities. You absolutely have to understand the rules, the restrictions, the potential pitfalls. Parental involvement isn't just suggested, it's essential.
You gotta do your homework.
You really do. Due diligence is key. Review everything. Ask questions. And don't be afraid to get expert help, lawyers, tax advisors when you need it.
Because if you handle it right, it sounds like there are real upsides. Helping pay for college or training, maybe, building connections, learning about business.
Absolutely. Managed well, NIL can provide financial help, open doors to relationships with businesses, and teach incredibly valuable lessons about financial literacy, professionalism, and building your own brand. Real-world skills.
But the flip side is also true if you mess it up.
If you mess it up, yeah, you could risk eligibility, high school and college. You could face legal or tax problems. It could even hurt college recruitment if coaches see red flags. It demands care and attention.
So, final thought then, especially for the learner listening in. Think of this NIL landscape, not just as a way to maybe earn some money, but as a really early lesson. A lesson in personal branding, in responsibility, in making smart choices. These decisions, they can impact things way beyond the fast pitch field, right? So the question for you is, what steps are you going to take now? How will you learn more and make sure you're approaching this new opportunity with both enthusiasm and the right amount of caution?